Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs. Today I'm sharing with you some very cute, very easy, very inexpensive, and functional handmade gift ideas for Mother's Day, for a birthday, or just because. Or maybe you would like to make them for yourself. I created for you today pretty bookmarks. Some are personalized. Pretty spiral notepads decorated with scrapbook papers and pretty trims, also personalized, and even a pretty organizer cup made from a tin can. Trust me, these will be happily received and utilized by the recipient, and they are all so easy and so fun to create and embellish. Welcome to all to my channel today. If you're not currently a subscriber, I hope you will consider becoming one, and as well, if you would give this video a thumbs up and share this video with a friend or relative, I would really appreciate that. Also, leave me your comments and let me know if you plan to make any of these very cute gift ideas that I'm going to be sharing with you today. All right, let's get started with the bookmarks first. You could purchase these bookmarks, these wood bookmarks. They come with jute cord, but I'm not going to be utilizing the jute cord because I'm going to be using embroidery floss, which is so much more colorful. So you can order these on Amazon. I don't know if Hobby Lobby or Michael's carries these, but they're actually intended as tags or bookmarks. If you do a search on Amazon for wood crafting bookmarks, you will see a bunch of sites come up, and you can choose whichever one that you like, the amount of wood pieces, the price, etc. You know, it's very easy to do a search on Amazon for pretty much anything that you need. I'm going to be using some very pretty scrapbook papers, some of which are some of the pieces that I had purchased at Joann's prior to their, I don't know if they're closed yet, but seems like they are or close to it. But they have the most beautiful scrapbook papers, so I stocked up on those. I do use some from Hobby Lobby as well. So those are very pretty Joann's. But what I did was I am a person who saves scrapbook paper pieces. I don't throw them out. You just never know when you're going to use them or have a use for them. So I keep a bin and I just throw all of my scrapbook excess papers from projects in there. And this was a perfect example of how to use them, because these bookmarks take up very little scrapbook paper. And I put one type of scrapbook paper on the front and one on the back. Now you can do whatever combinations that you like, whatever style of bookmark that you like. Maybe you like florals or you want them to look a little bit more elegant. I did some in all types of different scrapbook paper. And I paired them up prior to getting started on them, and I got organized by laying them all out. Now, I'm doing bookmarks for 3 different people, so I have quite a few out here. But I love using the beautiful scrapbook papers with the gold foil from Hobby Lobby. Every other week, their scrapbook papers are 40% off. That's a little beach theme one for the recipient. She likes the beach. So I try to personalize them, choose the colors that are the person's favorite that I'm giving the bookmark to. And, even as far as like a theme, if they like florals or they like the beach or they're a polka dot lover, or you get the idea. That beautiful scrapbook paper there was from Hobby Lobby, and I did a Easter rabbit with that, so you might recognize that. Love the pineapples. That's a Hobby Lobby one. That's pretty standard. Most every Hobby Lobby carries that routinely. So I have everything all laid out here. Now, as far as personalizing them, you've seen me do this before, but I have my Ray done little stick-on letters. I get those on Amazon. Lots of shops sell them. If you order them on Amazon, you'll want to pay attention to the height of the letters when you order them. These letters that I use on these bookmarks are the smaller letters. Okay, so I have here a bunch of trims. Oh, how pretty those will be on either a bookmark or the little notebooks, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit. Gathered together all of my trims in a little bin, so I would have everything all available. I love rickrack on these projects. That was a little tiny pom-pom trim. There's an iridescent rickrack. Love the gold rickrack that I showed you. Now, from the Paper Studio, I love, you probably just know what I'm going to say, but I have lots and lots of trims from the Paper Studio brand at Hobby Lobby. Every other week, they're 40% off, and I just took out anything I thought I might use, and I have everything all handy and ready to go once I begin working on my bookmarks. I'm going to be using embroidery floss for the tassels, but I also have some tassels, gold ones, from the Paper Studio section. You'll be seeing these here in just a bit, showing you some other options, some half pearls, little different types of embellishing flowers. So let's get started covering the bookmarks. So easy to do. Just place the bookmark down on your scrapbook paper, trace around it with a pencil, and then cut it out. It's that easy. Now, for my bookmarks, I like them to have a different scrapbook paper on the front and another one, a different one on the back. I just like the look of that, and it just really adds a lot of visual interest to your bookmark. Now, very simply, I just cut them out with scissors, and I just prepared all of my bookmarks. Now, I paired up some really pretty scrapbook papers together, and I will be showing you how I paired them all up here in a little bit, but just to give you some ideas how to do that. Now, I'm going to be using Mod Podge to place the scrapbook papers on the front and on the back. Now, you could use a glue stick. I haven't yet used a glue stick. I guess I'm kind of old school. I just keep using Mod Podge because it works like a charm. So, but from what I understand from others and it's even been suggested to me that I should try a glue stick. And I will do that if I could just remember to buy one when I'm at the store. But let's proceed on here. I put a nice layer of Mod Podge all over my bookmark, and I just place my bookmark paper over the top, and I smooth it out nice and smooth with my fingers and align it up perfectly with all of the edges. Now, before I put on the other side of my bookmark, I don't want to lose track of that little hole. So I'm going to take my little, I call it my picker tool, but it's that little hook tool that you could pick up in the Crafter's Square section at the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to poke a little hole there, and that way I can keep track of my hole because I need to do that to put my tassel through. Okay, just like that. Very easy. Just poke it right through there. Now, this scrapbook paper, you can't really see it, but up close it has a kind of a line design on it. So each side has a type of a pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other side on. Now, I just trim up any excess that I might see my scrapbook paper extending beyond the wood, I just use my sharp scissors. This scrapbook paper is of a thicker nature, and I would not be using a sanding block on that. Besides, it's so easy just to take a sharp pair of scissors and trim it up. So again, covering the whole entire area with Mod Podge, carefully placing on my scrapbook paper. And these honestly just make the prettiest bookmarks. And again, I always say it, but it's so true. Things like this, personalized gifts, things that you make for someone, every time the recipient takes out their book and takes the bookmark out of the book, they're going to think of you and how you took the time to make this very cute bookmark for them. And those kind of things are so appreciated. I've been making gifts for most of my life, and it's always my preference to do that as opposed to buying something. And I realize the value of that. And those who receive the gifts very much realize the value of that. All right, here's those gold tassels. And I just love these. I got these in the Paper Studio department, or the department at Hobby Lobby that carries the Paper Studio projects. Now, I had to cut them. They're on like a loop, but I had to cut them in order to put them on my bookmark. So when you cut these little pre-made little tassels, the first thing they want to do is start to fray. So I took a little bit of tacky glue and I put it on my fingertips, and I just took care of that problem right away. And I just let them sit off to the side to dry. Now, I did have 3 bookmarks that had these gold tassels. So I did 3 of those. I'm just going to let those sit and dry. Okay, now you can see this one has those pretty pineapples with a white scrapbook paper with the gold polka dots. This is that beautiful eucalyptus print Hobby Lobby scrapbook paper, and it also has gold spots on it. Just so pretty. So I'm thinking this needs to be trimmed out in gold. I have this really beautiful trim that I got in the sewing department where they sell all the trims and the ribbons at Hobby Lobby. So pretty. Now I'm going to use my Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm going to place a trim on the top and on the bottom. Now, this is where the fun part comes in. Once you get all of your bookmarks covered, however many you want to make, and I just love decorating them. It's so much fun. So I love to use ribbons and trims, different types of trims. I love to use half pearls and little stick-on gems. And I also like to use stick-on letters. Now, you could do these on your Cricut if you have a Cricut, but you could also pick up stick-on letters anywhere. I'm going to use the ones that I got on Amazon, but oh my goodness, I mean, Hobby Lobby has a huge department of stick-on letters. You could get these at Michael's as well. Okay, so up to you completely how you want to decorate yours. You could do a horizontal application. You could do it vertically, going down the sides of the bookmark. So usually what I do often is I just put my trim on and I let it dry. And then I go and trim off the excess off the sides later once it's, because I want that trim to really adhere toward the edges of the bookmark. Now I have this super pretty scrapbook paper that came from a booklet of scrapbook papers that I had gotten at Hobby Lobby, very pretty lavender color. And then I have a little orchid or lavender color paper flower that I got from the Paper Studio section at Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to put that in the upper left-hand corner, and it's going to be as simple as that because it just looks so pretty. Now, I do something on the back side as well. Now, I have this really pretty gold foil paper with the white flowers that I had gotten at Hobby Lobby. And on the back of that, I put a white scrapbook paper with the same gold foil polka dots. Now I'm going to use my gold rickrack. It's a very, very narrow rickrack, so pretty, and really embellishes these bookmarks very beautifully. So I just put a stream of glue, place my rickrack down in it. Now on this one, I put 2 strips at the bottom and 2 strips at the top. So you see, you could just change it up. It's just like so many options. That's why these bookmarks are so fun to do. So I make sure I have that nice and straight, and that Aleene's Techie glue will hold that on very well and very permanently. I'm going to do it as well at the top, but always be mindful of your hole at the top. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it. I don't think I did. But after I put the second piece of scrapbook paper on, I go around to the side where I put the first piece, and then I use the hole that I had poked through, and I poke it through to the other side. Now I have a hole all the way through on my bookmark. Very easy to do. So you can see here, I'm not going to have you watch me do each and every one of these, but I do want to do a few so that you get like an idea of how you could decorate your bookmarks. And I really think this is the part where you place the trims that really add that really extra special touch to the bookmarks. Okay, so now I mentioned that I like to personalize at least one of the bookmarks that I usually give them in 3s. Don't ask me why. But no, I don't want to just make one. I want to do like 3. 3 different ones in really pretty patterns, all different from one another. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to do a name application on this one. And instead of placing it straight up and down, it's a long name. It's 6 letters. I'm going to place it diagonal from one corner to the other. So the reason why I have my little ruler block out, which is, by the way, I made that. I did a video on that. I'm going to find the center point and then just make sure that I'm placing the name on there nice and evenly and distributed so that it sits evenly on the piece. Now, because they're stick-on letters, I want to put another application of Mod Podge on there, and that's just going to seal them right down. So you really can't see it so well right there, but you could see the name on there very well. The name can be subtle, doesn't have to be super pronounced. And then I ended up adding a couple of those really pretty little, I'll show them to you later, but really pretty little flowers. They're kind of like, I want to say they're like some type of plastic. Super pretty. There it is right there. I'm adding 2 of those white flowers. They have a little sparkly gem in the center. Okay, here's another personalized one that I did on the green. And on this one, there were green flowers. So I just put a few of those and I put the name horizontal across it. There were less letters, so I was able to do that. This is for a young girl. And I have that pretty green scrapbook paper and a polka dot on the back. And there's the other one that I did with the name on it. And on the table there, you see a purple, kind of orchid purplish. That's another personalized one I did. And I did that name horizontally across as well. Of course, there will be other embellishments on there. But generally what I do is when I have like a number of projects, I kind of do them in kind of an assembly line fashion to make the most of my time. While one thing's drying, I'm working on another. There's those flowers on there now. So I went ahead and I did the name. Okay, so now I'm going to give this a little bit of embellishment. So I take my Alien Stacky Glue, and I'm going to take a very tiny white rickrack, and I'm going to place that under and over the name. So you could see there are just so many possibilities. Such fun to do bookmarks. These are great for teachers, anybody who's an avid reader. I think it would be fun to do one of these for someone who uses cookbooks. And you could choose scrapbook papers that have something on them. Like I know, for example, at Hobby Lobby, they have watermelon scrapbook paper. They have pumpkin, anything like that, like with fruits on them or, yeah, I think that would be really fun. And then the person who wants to, get easy access to a recipe can stick that bookmark right in the cookbook. I think that's a good idea. Okay, here's my little drawer, if you will, that I got from Dollar Tree, full of half pearls. Now, I have a scrapbook paper there that has a lot of little flowers, actually 3 different sizes. So I'm going to put some little half pearls in the center of the flowers for the largest flower, and then the next largest flower I'm going to do with a little bit smaller pearl. Now, you guys, you can't believe what I did last week with this drawer of half pearls. It was on my craft table, and I accidentally banged my hand against it. The drawer was open. It went flying, and pearls, oh my gosh, you can't imagine how many places those pearls landed. Never mind the gazillion that landed on the floor that I'm still cleaning up a week later. Oh my goodness, that was a nightmare. That was a nightmare. A pearl dropping nightmare. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was quite something to clean up. Okay, onward. Showing you all of my bookmarks. I have pretty embroidery floss thread that I'm going to make my tassels out of. So I have colors that's going to pick up those the colors of the bookmark, or at least coordinate very well with them. So you see, I have the prettiest colors. Again, how fun is this? Okay, so I took a blank bookmark, which is going to work very well for creating my tassels. So I'm going to start by placing that embroidery floss thread down, and I'm going to hold it there and wrap it in a nice loose wrap. You don't want it too tight because you have to slide it off of the end of that wood. So I wrapped it 30 times. I figured that was the best amount to create a nice little colorful tassel for the bookmarks. So I wrapped it around 30 times, and then I snip it off. Then I'm going to take a piece around, let's say around 12 inches, snip off a piece of that. And that right there, I was just trying to look to see about how long the thread was that held my tassel. So now I'm just going to take that piece of thread and slide it underneath where I just wrapped. If you have trouble getting it through there, remember I said wrap it loosely, just use a spatula or just something to shove it underneath there. Pull it evenly. And then I'm going to tie a double knot right at the very top. I'm a little bit fumble fingers here today. Pull it tight and then tie another knot. Now this is going to be the piece that ultimately is going to attach to your bookend, that long string there. Okay, now I'm just going to slide it off the end, work it toward the end. Keep it collected. Then I'm going to lay it down on the table. Now I'm going to take another small piece, enough to tie around it a double knot. Place it up toward the top, and that's going to be your little ball head to your tassel. Just like that. Tie a double knot. It's that easy to make a tassel. Cut off the excess. Then you're going to just simply take your scissors and cut through the other end. And now you have a very pretty tassel. And embroidery floss is so pretty. It says vibrant colors and it has a nice texture. So I thought this would be a great thing to use for the tassels. So I'm going to leave about 6 inches. And then I'm going to poke that through. Now, chances are it's going to be a little bit difficult to get it through. So just take a little piece of Scotch tape, which is what I had to do right there. And just put it on the end, and then you could poke it through the hole easily. Also, if you need to, go ahead and use your hook tool to make sure you have a nice size hole there. And it is going through, I promise. There you go. Okay, decide about how long you want your tassel to extend beyond the top of your bookmark. So I'm just gauging it with the other ones for size. And then I'm simply going to tie a little knot there. So I just did my knot. And then I'm going to take some Aleene's tacky glue, pop it down in the hole, and then gently pull the knot into the glue. And then I cut off any excess, and that's how I attached my tassels. And these turned out so pretty. You could get your embroidery floss thread. It's in the yarn department at Hobby Lobby. I'm assuming the same at Michael's. Look how pretty that is. All right, so I did all of my tassels, created them all exactly the same way. Here's another one of my bookmarks. It has pearls on one side in the flowers, see that? And then I put one pink flower right in the center. Look how pretty. I think that's got to be one of my favorites. And on the back side is the name. Very pretty. Okay, here's the eucalyptus with the gold print and the gold trim. Look how pretty that is. And then quite simply on the back, just a white with a gold polka dot. Showing you all the finished ones here. And this is that soft color, pretty with the daisies on one side. And I put a white tassel with a couple of pretty little flowers with pearl centers. There's that gold foil rickrack on one side with the gold tassel. The pineapples, oh, one of my favorites. Love, love. And the same with the white and the gold polka dot on the opposite side. Love this one as well. This has the two little flowers, the name, and the beach theme scrapbook paper on the back. Again, very easy to choose scrapbook papers to suit the person's preferences or what they like to place on the bookmark. That one has just one single flower in the center with all of the pearls and the pretty tassel that coordinates with the color. Love this one. Little green flowers with the name on it, and just one single vertical rickrack, iridescent rickrack going down the back. You see how you can mix it up? Okay, this was a tin can. Now, I'm not showing you this from scratch how I did it because it's so simple. I cut out a piece of scrapbook paper, a gorgeous scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. I spray painted the can. On the inside, I wrapped it with different ribbons and rickracks, and I put a mermaid sticker on there, and that's from the Paper Studio. I'll show you that again later, but I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you that I did some little spiral notebooks. I love spiral notebooks. I like them with plain paper, and I like them with lines on them. Okay, now, so what I like to do is I pick these up often at Marshall's or Home Goods or TJ Maxx, and I like them with a nice sturdy spiral on them, and then I decorate them. Now, this is for a young girl. How cute is that? Let's start with this one, okay, and we'll talk more about that can later. All right, so I got this sketchbook. Obviously, not pretty like it is. It's got plain paper on the inside. Now, I made this for the young girl as well. And the mermaid tail can with the pretty markers in it, that's part of the gift. Okay, so what I want to do is cover this, the front and the back. I'm not worried about covering the inside cover or the inside back cover. If you want to do that, feel free. There's the mermaid can. That's that beautiful sticker that I got in the Paper Studio section. And I just was dying to use it for something. So I put it on that can. And I also put some little stick-on orchid and purple little gems. And that's what I'm talking about there. See the Paper Studio? And I used those and decorated the can. Yes, I painted the bottom and the inside. Now, you would never know this was just a bean can, would you? It's so cute. And I put a little bit of rickrack around the top and the bottom, a very narrow, and then I put ribbons and rickrack on the inside. And that is a very cute part of the gift. All right, so I'm going to use a polka dot scrapbook paper. This one is from Joann's. I keep using it and using it. I'm going to be very sad when I no longer have any left. Yeah, I'm going to miss Joann's. I was even thinking of trying to do a search. I was looking at the manufacturer of that scrapbook paper, and I was thinking someone else must carry that scrapbook paper. So I'm still gonna research that. That's how much I love it. Okay, so I put down my front and back of my little sketchbook there, and I trace around it, and that's how I'm going to cover the back and cover the front. I'm just going to go ahead and cut that out. Now, when we get to the front and the back of that sketchbook, you want to be careful to place your paper in alignment with the spirals and not touching the spirals, if that makes any sense. Just bring your paper right up to the line of the spirals because you don't want to interfere in the ability to open and close the spiral notebook. So what I do there is I place my paper on and I determine where I need to cut that off. Now, I showed you earlier my little paper cutter, just the most, and I'm marking the spot right there with my scissors. Now, if you're using a polka dot paper, that makes things very easy because you could just use the polka dots to cut a nice straight line. But if you don't have that, I recommend one of those paper cutters. You'll see me use that here in just a bit. But boy, they are so amazing for cutting a straight line and trimming up your scrapbook papers. So I just want to be sure. Now, I noticed that my paper was a little bit encroaching on the area of the spiral, so I'm just trimming it down a little bit more. And I just bring it right up to the point where the holes are, where the spiral binder is fed through those holes. And this just takes this piece up to another level. Just makes it so cute and personalized, and that's the key word there. So I cut out a purple polka dot for the front and the back, and I'm going to use Mod Podge to cover that. Like I said, if you want to cover the inside, feel free. Okay, so to proceed on with my piece, I am going to take some of these wood flowers from the spring shop at Hobby Lobby. And again, as I mentioned, this is for a young girl, so these will be very, very well received by the recipient. And I'm going to cut out 3 different flowers. I actually used 3 of the same one. Originally, I thought I was going to use the bigger one, but I didn't. But I chose some very pretty scrapbook papers that would go well sitting on that polka dot scrapbook paper that I adhered to the front and the back. So I'm just going to use these as patterns or templates, and I'm going to just use my pencil, draw around them, and cut them out. And those I'm going to be placing on the scrapbook paper on the front of that spiral sketch pad. Again, using 3 different patterns or 3 different scrapbook papers to add a lot of color and visual interest. Now, I started out, I thought I was going to use that paper that I'm using right there. It was purple and orchid print, but it didn't show up very well on that polka dot paper. So I ended up not using that, but I chose another one. See, that I could have used it. I just wasn't really 100% sold. So, yeah. So I cut out all of my flowers. And I'm also going to personalize this sketchbook pad. So I'm going to be using my white letters. I'm going to be using the bigger letters this time. Now, I decided I'm also going to use green. That would have been great had I used bigger flowers, that polka dot. That would have been really fun to use. Great for Grinch, by the way, but I'm not doing Grinch at this time of year. So anyway, just proceed on choosing whatever kind of embellishments you want on the front of your sketch pad. If you want to do flowers, or you have another idea for something that the person that you're making this for, something that they would really like. Now, I'm going to be using buttons for the center of my flowers. I love to use colored buttons. Those buttons are from a multi-pack from the sewing department at Walmart. I just love the bright colors. So what I ended up choosing was a yellow polka dot, a kind of a fuchsia with polka dots, and then the one that you see me using right there, it actually has polka dots, but it's more of a textured polka dot. Now, you saw me do this technique if you follow my channel when I did my scrapbook covered flowers that I did for the spring decorating at my work. So what I do is I take a fine tip paintbrush and I just use Snow White Waverly chalk paint. And I'm just drawing squiggles. I'm not doing a straight line or a straight border. I'm just doing squiggles. And I do this so that right there, so I can delineate the petals of the flower and also just to add a fun little design. All right, there's my larger letters. I place them on the lower left-hand corner, and then I'm going to put my flowers around that. So I'm going to go ahead and use Mod Podge and put on my scrapbook paper. Make sure I get it nice and well adhered to the cover and the back cover of my sketchbook pad. And I tell you, you've obviously have seen the results of this, but this makes the cutest gift. And on top of it, you can make it personalized. And it's just always very well received. I've made many of these through the years. And that one's going to go on the back the same way. Okay, so additionally, I decided to put some rickrack on the front in a vertical pattern. I'm going to put 2 lines of rickrack on the end of my pad. Now, in addition to this, I added some of those little purple gems that I used on the cup. So I really embellished this one. So I just use Aleene's Tacky, and then I wait till it dries and trim it up. I believe most of the time that's the way I do it. Can't swear I did it right there, but okay. So I'm putting 2 vertical lines. Now, to me, that's just what I felt like doing. Again, you do you, however you want to embellish yours. And then I ended up using 3 of the smaller flowers and not the larger flower. It just wasn't fitting on there, completely onto the front of there the way I wanted it to. So there you go. 3 flowers, all different with big buttons. 2 different kinds of buttons. And then we have our little personalized name on there. And then in addition to that, I used those little purple gems. So I'm just going to use Aleene's Tacky glue to glue the flowers down. And then I'm going to do one more thing after that to add even more visual interest. Just going to use Aleene's Tacky to put my buttons down now. I also did something for the closure of this little sketchbook. And you'll see that here in just a bit. Really a cute touch. Now I'm going to be using that colored baker's twine. I always say when you are at Crafter's Square section at the Dollar Tree, if you see the colored baker's twine, that it's twisted with white, all different colors, always grab it because you'll always find a use for it. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I have a green and a pink and an orchid. And I'm going to take that baker's twine and I'm going to use my little quilling glue applicator right there that has Elmer's glue in it, a very fine tip. And I'm just going to go around the outside of my flowers and just border them with that baker's twine. And that adds a really cute little touch. And very easy to just place that on there. I did use my little hook tool to help me when I got to the little curved area of the flowers. It helped me to just like that. See what I'm doing there? Using that to help me get my baker's twine on there very well, situated very well around the flower. And this really adds something. You could, even if you want, I didn't do it, but now that I'm looking, you could also put the baker's twine around the button, which would be another cute touch. Okay, so I did all of the flowers, each one in different color. And that's going to be how I decorate the front of the sketchbook. And I didn't do anything to the back. This isn't a bookmark. This is just a little spiral booklet. So I'm not doing that. But I'm going to go ahead and trim off any of the excess rickrack now that it's dried a little bit there. This is why it's good to have sharp scissors, because you can get nice and close and trim that all off. And I'm just loving it so far. Now, isn't this just something that you can imagine a young girl would love? But you could also do it for any age. You could do any kind of design you want. So now I'm taking those little sticky gems and I'm going to place those around. I'm using little teeny tiny ones. There's like three different sizes on those. And again, I get those in the at Hobby Lobby. Those are the Paper Studio brand. They have a great sticking ability on the back. And every other week, they're 40% off. So I just place them randomly around the front of that piece. And that just added, again, just another very cute touch to the front of this sketchbook. So the next thing that I'm going to do, and the last thing that I'm going to do to this, is I am going to give it a closure with a ribbon. And I just love the touch that this creates on one of these little booklets. So I used a ribbon that I had gotten. It was a Robert Stanley ribbon from Hobby Lobby. Really, really pretty ribbon. Just about the color of that polka dot paper. You're going to see here in just a minute if I get done putting all of my little gems on there. And I'm going to show you how I attach the ribbon. Now, I'm just trying to decide which ribbon I'm going to use there. But I ended up using a sheer, very pretty Robert Stanley ribbon. Now, you could go with any type of ribbon here. You could use a satin. Anything polka dotted would be awesome. And here's that sheer. It's kind of a sheer ribbon. But the satin, I considered the satin as well, which was a Walmart ribbon, 5/8 inch. That one would have been great as well. But there's the Robert Stanley, and I decided to go with that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue that ribbon to the inside about 1/4 of an inch in, and I'm just going to use Aleene's Tacky Glue because that's going to hold it the best if I can get the glue to come out. And then I'm just going to place that on there. I'm going to put a couple of clips on there, little baby clips from the Dollar Tree, and that's going to hold that on there to dry. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the back cover. On the inside, I'm going to place the ribbon the same way. Just about 1/4 of an inch of ribbon is all you need to do. And here we are on the back side. Now, like I said, if you want to cover that back side, you can do that. All right, so now they're all dry. And I'm just going to tie that closed. Now, you want to leave enough length so that you can tie a bow. So I want to say maybe 8 to 10 inches. It's up to you. Then you can, at least if you have it long enough, then you can always trim it down. But at each piece of your ribbon, I would say maybe go 10 inches, and then you could trim it up like I did here. So nice loopy bow, and then I'll trim it with angle cuts, and that's going to be the last part or the last trim that I do on this very cute spiral personalized gift. Now, I think this is a great idea. I would love to know what you think and how you think you would embellish yours if you were to make this piece. Now, I'm going to make 2 more of these, and not quite as detailed, but just with some really pretty paper. Now, as I mentioned, I absolutely love covered notebooks. I use them a lot. I use sketchbooks as well as lined paper ones, doing a lot of tasks for my channel, making notes, shopping lists, things I need to get at Hobby Lobby, of course. Now, I picked up these 2 little spirals at Home Goods. They're small, just the right size for popping in your purse or just keeping on your desk or to make little lists on or make notes to yourself. I have this gorgeous piece of white scrapbook paper with metallic gold print. Is that not beautiful? So I am going to do one of them with that scrapbook paper on the front, and I'm going to position that so that I get that pretty rose right in the middle. And I'm going to do what I did with the other spiral. I'm just going to place that on my scrapbook paper, trace around the cover and the back side. And then I'm going to cut it out and mount it on to the front of that spiral. And I'm going to take that to making it look just like so different and so pretty. So right now I'm just placing it on the scrapbook paper exactly where I want it, so that when I cut it out, I want that rose to be in the center. So because of that, I'm going to go ahead and pencil the front just so I get it right. And then I'm just going to cut it out with my scissors. Now, for the back side, I could, if I would have done the back side, I probably would have had to have gotten another piece of scrapbook paper or just not centered that rose on there. But instead, what I wanted to do to personalize this was I had this very pretty white scrapbook paper with metallic musical notes on it. And this is very suitable for the person that I'm making this for because she plays the piano. So you get me, what I'm trying to get across here is personalize these pieces for the person that you're doing it for. And I thought it was just a really pretty complimentary scrapbook paper to put on the back of this little spiral notepad. So I cut that out and I Mod Podged it on just like I did the other spiral that I did. But now you see I have my paper cutter out, and I'm just going to show you how incredibly easy it is to use this. It cuts the straightest line. There's a line that goes down that cutter right there where I'm showing you the pencil. So it's so easy to line up wherever you want to cut. And then on the bottom, there's a ledge where you set your paper on, and that keeps everything totally straight. This is a very inexpensive tool to have on hand, and I can't recommend it highly enough. If you do scrapbook paping? What the heck? Scrapbook papering on anything. It's, oh my gosh. It's the perfect tool to have on hand if you love scrapbook paper like I do. Okay, so again, watch where you're aligning your paper. Make sure you leave that space open where the holes are, where the spiral is, so that it opens and closes as it should. And then I'm just going to Mod Podge that right on the back and the front. Now this one's going to be a lot more simple than the other one. Just kind of beautiful and perfect and, just kind of elegant. Now, even if you want to make the tiniest of tiny, tiny cuts, you could do it vertically, you could do it horizontally. And that little strip there that I just ran over it, that's where the cutter is. But see how I could take off teeny tiny little pieces and it will be so straight. Now look how pretty that's going to be. And now see I have the rose right in the center. That was my plan. And I achieved that by tracing on the front side as opposed to the back. Okay, this is a scrapbook paper booklet that I had gotten years ago at Michael's, and I just absolutely love it. I have used the scrapbook paper in there on so many occasions. I love these big booklets of scrapbook paper. And this one was really focused on blacks and golds. Now, I'm just thumbing through here because I'm looking for something in particular. There were these little square, right there, little square pieces that I remembered that I had in here that you could cut out, and if you wanted to place something in the center, like a name. So I'm going to be making 2 of these spirals, and I like the fact that it has the gold on it. So I'm going to cut out that one and the other one at the bottom there, and that's where I'm going to place the name. But I'm not going to put the name on the front. I'm going to put it on the inside cover, just as an extra little personalization or embellishment. And I'm just going to use my letters, my black letters for that. Now, of course, I need to have a little bit of trim on here. So I'm going to be placing some of that beautiful gold trim. It's not the rickrack, it's another one. Really, really pretty. On the inside cover, now, if you want to cover that, you could cover that as well. I'm just going to use it. It's a solid color. I'm really not too obsessed about covering the inside. If you wanted to do that, you could do that. You do you. But I'm going to put the name on there. So on the inside cover, the person's name will be on there. And those are the little letters that I'm going to use. Now on Amazon, you can pick these up, but you got to be careful which ones you're getting. Be sure that you're getting large letters and small letters if you want a variety pack. There are so many stores on Amazon that sell these and for different prices. So if you want to look for these particular letters, just put in a search for Ray Dunn, Dunn, stick-on letters, and you'll see all kinds of stores that carry them. And then also notice that some come in white, some come in black, some come in different size letters. So you just have to choose the ones that, you prefer. So I like to use tweezers to do these letters. So I'm just going to, again, put the name on. This was a part of the gift that I'm giving, that also there's bookmarks as well, so you recognize the name there, I'm sure. And I'm just going to put that on the inside cover. I do take some Mod Podge and put it over those letters. Now, if you need to readjust these letters, that's the beauty of these. I love them. You could pick them up, put them back down, and just press them down and they'll stick, and then just dab over some Mod Podge just to seal them down permanently. Okay, so again, Mod Podge, just squirt a bunch on there. And take my sponge applicator, which you could pick up anywhere. I even saw them at my grocery store. Home Depot, Walmart, Dollar Tree. Very easy to find these. But they're great for spreading out your Mod Podge. So I go right up to the line where those holes start. And I place my scrapbook paper on there. And that just takes on a whole new look, as you can see. Now I just press that out, make sure everything is all adhered. That's a very heavy duty scrapbook paper. So that just really smooths out so beautifully on the front and back cardboard cover. If there's any excess that you need to trim, very easy to do. Use your sharp scissors. Sometimes no matter how perfectly you think you have something cut out, and then you place it on there and yeah, you got like a little bit of overhang. So very easy to trim that up. And now on the inside cover, I already did the back there, as you can see. For the inside cover, I'm just going to place that name on there. I'm just going to put a little Mod Podge on the back. Now, because it's a solid color, I'm fine with that. But again, that may not be your preference. You may want to finish it with more scrapbook paper. That's completely up to you. I'm just here for inspiration and ideas, especially when it comes to decorating pieces like this. This is a great way to use up, any of your extra trims and embellishments. I also, as I mentioned before, love to use buttons, and I think this would be so cute with colorful scrapbook paper and put buttons all over the front. Different sizes. Oh, I think that would be so cute. I'm sure I'm going to make one day. So I'm just going to smooth that out. And then I ended up trimming that square there, or that kind of a rectangle with a gold rickrack. I don't know if I showed you that, but I did do it. And that's just a little personalized touch on the inside. Okay, now here's the other one. Now, you've seen this scrapbook paper before. One of my all-time favorites, this textured scrapbook paper. It's almost like a fabric. I have used this on so many occasions. I absolutely love it. So I would say, yeah, this is one beautiful scrapbook paper to put on this little spiral notebook. So again, I just measured everything out, cut everything out. I actually covered the back with the same scrapbook paper. And isn't that beautiful? Look how pretty that looks with that scrapbook paper on there. I put the name on the inside. I put the letters on. Now, I'm going to add something really pretty on here. I love the pearl trims from the Paper Studio brand. Now, I could have gone either way with either one of these, but I ended up going with this. It's a kind of a line trim of pearls. So, so pretty. It has little teeny tiny pearls and some bigger ones. And I'm just going to use my little quilling applicator. I'm just going to put a vertical line of pearls going down the front of that sketch, or no, it's not a sketchbook, the little notebook. And I'm just going to place my pearls. Now, they have a sticky back, but that scrapbook paper is very textured, so I don't want that to be coming off. So I put in a little added assurance that it wouldn't with that Elmer's glue. Press it down. Look how pretty that is. Now, I did one more thing to this because that area where the scrapbook paper met up with the coiled up part of that notebook, I felt it needed something to delineate the paper. So I decided to use a little bit of gold rickrack. So I added a little touch of gold on there. And again, I used my quilling applicator and I placed it right there. Now, the spirals on there are gold, so, it was a pretty decent match. But again, you do you, however you want to decorate yours. So you see, you could go whimsical, you could go fun on this, you could go more elegant, more dressy, if you will. It's completely up to you, but there is so much option to creating these pieces, the bookmarks as well as the sketchbook and the notebooks. And I can guarantee you're not going to really find anything like this probably anywhere, because it's just unique and very special because you took your time to create something special and personalized for someone in your life. Okay, so here you go. Here's all the bookmarks and the notebooks and the very cute sketchbook pad and our little mermaid tail cup holder for the markers. I'm loving all of these. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think you would make these. Let me know what colors you would use and what types of scrapbook paper and how you would embellish them. And I always love receiving pictures of what you create. Send it to my email in the description box. And Until next time, you all take care.